Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Velvet Ashes Legacy podcast for the month of November. Denise Beck here with Sarah Hilkeman. Hey, Sarah.
Hey, Denise, can you believe that we are to November?
No, I can't believe we're to November. Time is flying. I don't know if it feels like that where you're at, but definitely does here for us. We're so excited to be here with you. I feel like so much happened in the last month. We had our Equip conference, our Unplugged retreat came out, all of these things. And now we're to November, and our theme for November at Velvet Ashes is table. Sarah, talk a little bit about what we are hoping to dig into with this theme.
I mean, I feel like this is the time of year when we start looking toward the holidays, right? Whether you are Canadian and so you've already had a Thanksgiving celebration, or American and thinking about Thanksgiving moving into Advent and Christmas and all the things. And it can feel so lonely and hard as you think about, okay, everything about my table where I'm at is completely different. And maybe it's not even like an actual table. You know, maybe you are gathering on a mat on the floor with people, or you've got kind of a low table that you're reclining at, or the place that people gather for meals is around a fire. And so just thinking about it can feel very disorienting. It can feel very lonely. And yet, there is something beautiful that happens around a table, whether that is actually a table or whatever that is in your context, as we think about abundance and gratitude and connection and belonging, a place to open up and share and be yourself. And so there's just so many different ways that we can explore this theme of table this month. I'm so excited for the blogs that are coming and the opportunities in our membership to dig into this idea of just the table and what God has for us at the table.
And I love that where you choose to place yourself in the world, wherever God has called you, opens up an opportunity for different people to slip their legs in underneath your table, for different people that would have never been able to sit around your table to be there with you, and the stories that they bring with them, and the gift of a table in a place that is unexpected, and what that means for who gets to sit around it. And so there's so much to unpack and to dig into with this theme of table this month. So we're so excited to do that with you. We always want to invite you, if you're a Velvet Ashes member, to the live calls that we have, where we actually get in to discussions about the theme, and they're so sweet. We absolutely love them. So if you happen to not be a Velvet Ashes member and you'd like to be, we would love to have you join us for those calls that we do every month.
Well, it feels like those calls just feel like a big virtual table where everybody's got their coffee or tea or water, and you can just sit and share. So yeah, I love it.
And we know who slides their legs under our virtual table. We miss you when you're not there, and we're wondering where you are if you can't make it each month. So it becomes a lovely place to gather together at Velvet Ashes. But another fun thing that we like to do as we gather around in the Velvet Ashes community have been these fun little surveys that we have tried to do on our Instagram. And I got the biggest kick out of the one we did this month. Had to do with airplane etiquette. And so one of the very controversial questions we asked was, do you leave your shoes on or do you take them off when you are on a long flight?
And people had opinions.
Oh my, they care. They do care. And some people were like, you didn't give the option to bring your own slippers, because
yes,
I would switch them out. So Sarah, what about you? Do you have a flight shoe plan?
You know, when I used to travel on Asian airlines, across the ocean, they would provide little slippers in with like the blanket and eye mask and all of that, which was so nice because then, yeah, you felt like, okay, I can take my shoes off and just wear these little slippers when I need to get up and walk around or go to the bathroom or whatever. And I don't always remember to bring such things along now that I don't usually fly those airlines.
I think I have to be honest here in that I am not a detail-y person. I'm just like a whatever, anything goes, let's make everything work. And so I do remember, however, because I was a shoes off and, get cozy kind of person. But the first time that I shoes offed my way to the airplane bathroom and I opened that door and I looked and I realized what I was going to be taking my feet into ended my shoes off experience, at least when I leave my seat. I might like set my
Right.
socks on top of my shoes or something, but from that
Hmm.
point on, I was like, oh my gosh, every time now there's going to be my socks will have shoes on whenever I go to the bathroom. But yeah, I think for those long flights, I mean, we didn't even get into compression socks, which are like I am a big advocate for now when I travel because
Hmm.
they
Yeah,
just
me
really
too.
help. So there's all of these things. Okay, so then um I guess I did said I do compression socks. Oh, wait. We probably need to go back and say on our airplane survey, shoes on or off, the Velvet Ashes community, 59% of you are going without your shoes. So
It's all about comfort for
it
this
really
this
is. I
crowd.
get it. Be comfortable when you can. Okay, and then compression socks. What about you, Sarah?
I have started to use them more. I don't always remember. Is
Yeah.
my problem, but they do help. And yeah,
Have you
I
ever
I
arrived and had the cankles
oh
anywhere?
yes. Hmm.
That the first time I did that, I remember when I was younger and I would, do the 8 to 10 hour flights, no big deal. And the first year I showed up with cankles, I was like, it's changing. This is
Yeah.
when you get out the compression socks.
Yep. Yeah, and it was pretty fairly evenly split as far as people that use them or not.
Right, right. And the fun part though were the comments that people added about their advice that they would give. What were some of your favorites?
So, when you get a meal, and this has been the case on basically every flight I've ever been on, there's usually some kind of bread or roll, and you get that little teeny package of butter, and it is hard as a rock. It is so cold. And someone suggested sitting on that little thing of butter
So
to,
funny.
just for a couple minutes and let it warm up, and then you can spread it, which I respect. It is
Sit on your
hard. Uh,
butter.
I usually stick it under the entree for a little bit just because that's usually pretty hot. So, but
That's true. That's true.
yes.
Um, Somebody suggested that they book one seat across the aisle from the rest of the family so that the parent gets a chance to rotate out and have a no kid moment, like, okay, this is my hour and a
Hmm.
half in this seat, I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, I liked that.
The foot hammock, I get endlessly ridiculed by my husband for the foot hammock. It has been life changing for me. It like something about, I mean, we're booking the coach steerage back by the bathroom,
Hmm.
whatever. And those seats just aren't comfortable, but something about the foot hammock makes it just a little more bearable. And if you haven't tried it, I'm just going to encourage you try the foot hammock. Whether you buy an actual foot hammock or you use your scarf and you tie it around your chair, um, I don't know. I just feel like it is a game changer if you've never tried it.
Somebody also suggested footless compression socks, which I had
Oh,
not
I have just seen a commercial for those recently, probably on
really.
some social media site. But I'm curious, like, does that still help, or do you just get like
Right.
puffy feet?
Hmm. Hmm.
And I
Yeah, I
don't
don't
know.
know.
I guess I don't know the science behind why we wear compression socks and what it does. I'm assuming helps with blood not pooling and all that stuff in your legs, but I don't know. What a delight though to read all of these suggestions and comments and the insight into each woman and her, you know,
Right.
what she has learned over the years and traveling. That's what we need to do. We need to do a little travel hack booklet or something for everybody to see all of these
Yeah.
lovely things. But
Yes. But join us. Look for polls and surveys and just fun ways for you to interact on our Instagram. It's a great place to be, and we usually try to end up having to chat about it here on the podcast.
So fun. If you have ideas for a poll you would like us to do, please send us a message. We would absolutely
Mm,
welcome any of that feedback.
yeah, for sure.
Um, okay, another fun thing that happened last month that we get to talk about now is that Velvet Ashes was able to publish another book telling the stories from women all over the world. Do you want to talk a little bit about our new book?
Oh, I'm so excited that this is out in the world now. It is called Yet We Still Laugh: Stories of Humor and Hope from Women Serving Around the World. And so there are 39 stories from women just telling the funny stories. You know, there's so many hard parts of cross-cultural life, but there are so many sweet and hilarious parts too. And so I love that we got to capture that in this book. And you know, some of them are honest stories of ways that in the midst of a really challenging season, laughter was such a sweet gift, you know. And so this book does not say like just laugh and forget your troubles and it'll all
Right.
be fine and all of that, but laughter can be that sweet gift. And maybe if nothing feels funny, or you know, you are trying to hold on to joy wherever you are, grab this book and read other women's stories and be encouraged and just laugh along with them.
I love it. I mean, honestly, like when we do things on social media, when they have to do with laughter, they are the most well received. I think everybody is looking for a reason to laugh. And so this is just one of those lighthearted books. Another thing I love about this was we had someone in our community that's like, you know what? I draw these little cartoons and could I include those? So we got to include these little Velvet Ashes memes of one woman's take on the funny things in her ministry and her life and her time on the field. So great. I love it so much. Um, okay, so Sarah, we both got to put a little bit in here of different ways we've interacted with laughter on the field. So I thought maybe I would just tell my little funny story
Mm-hmm.
that we have, and then I'd love for you to share yours as well. So maybe if you, we would love it for it to encourage you to pick up the book. But my my story was more about an embarrassing moment, which oh my word, how many of those do we have on the field? But
Right.
we were driving, and I cannot for the life of me. We were in Africa, one country or another. Can't even remember. We were driving, and for some reason, I was in the car with our teammate and not in the car with my husband. And I was in the back seat, and I have no idea why it worked out that way. And when we were driving, I just felt like, has this man never learned how to drive? And it was, I don't know if we were hitting every pothole or if we were driving around them all and about to flip our car over every time, but I was so done being in the back seat with him. And so I was texting my husband just to be like, oh my word, get me out of this car. He's the worst driver I've ever been in the car with. And I hit send, just wanting some camaraderie, wanting him to like, you know, sympathize with me. And then I noticed that it was not, in fact, sent to my husband's phone. It was sent to the terrible driver himself, and his phone on the middle console lights up. And I realize what I've done and have the panic moment of like, oh my gosh, what do I do? Do I? Is there's no way to repeal a text at this point. It is like before that technology. And I'm thinking, how awkward would it be for me to grab his phone and try to like delete a text? I mean, all of these things are going through my mind. So I just decided to own it. And so I was just waiting when we arrived at the destination. I think we were like going for pizza or ice cream. It was like a fun thing. And when we got there, I'm just waiting for him to pull out his phone anxiously. And he finally does. And I remember we're standing and he like reads it and he goes, Denise. And he's just like, what in the world? And I'm just dying laughing. And I have to tell him, I am so sorry, but absolutely you are the worst driver. And I just like, you know, owned it, leaned into the moment. And to this day, it is just one of the funniest stories that he still reminds me of every time that I see him. But yes, something that I look back on and smile rather fondly about my time on the field.
Mm-hmm.
So I share the story with you all in the book. But Sarah, I loved the story that you chose to share.
Yeah. So Helen Roseveare is one of the legacy stories that we have shared here on the podcast, and it's one that I come back to a lot. I don't know if I want to say it's my favorite, because we have shared so many sweet and diverse stories of women, but I was so impacted by learning about her. And so there was a moment as she was preparing to go. Eventually, she served as a doctor in the Democratic Republic of Congo. But as she was kind of in preparation stage, she was actually caring for someone at an organization's headquarters, and they were kind of evaluating her too. And she had grown up, with a decent amount of privilege, and so hadn't necessarily done a lot of like household chores and labor and that type of thing. And so uh she was asked to serve coffee to kind of some of the head people of the organization. And as she came up, she heard them talking about her, and not in the greatest way. Like they were, saying, she's stubborn and there are all these things that she can't do. And obviously, that was not a place that she wanted to walk
Right.
into, bringing
Right.
the coffee. And so she instead switched jobs with someone and ended up hanging laundry. And she didn't realize, but she was right in the view of this room where these people had been discussing her. She was working so hard to hang up the laundry, and as she turned around, everything that she had just hung up had fallen into
Oh
the
my
mud.
word.
And sheets are bulky and hard, and that was all that she had been hanging up. And instead of doing probably what I would have done, which is like be really frustrated and mad, or
Overwhelmed. Yes.
cry or whatever, she just started laughing. And the men who had just minutes ago been saying these kind of disparaging things about her saw her laughter and thought, okay, if she can laugh in the midst of this moment of frustration, she's going to be able to make it on the field.
Yes. They notice what I love about that too is like that the people that were evaluating her recognized that as a very good quality, to laugh in the
Yes.
midst of
Hmm.
hard things and like, okay, if
Hmm.
you can do that. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah. If you can laugh at yourself, like that is such a big lesson, and is going to help you when you are making language mistakes and trying to figure out a new culture and just trying to deal with all of the little daily frustrations.
right.
And yeah, it can be a gift.
Which is exactly what I think this book is. I think it's a gift. I think it's a gift to be able to read stories of laughter from other women. I hope it encourages you to pick up a copy and just just have a little laugh. I hope.
Yeah.
But real quick, we just a couple of other updates in the Velvet Ashes community. Our unplugged retreat for 2025 has been released, and this retreat is called Refuge, and it really leans into David and his time in the wilderness. The great thing about Unplugged Retreat is it doesn't require much of you.
Yeah. Find some space with the Lord. Print off the retreat guide so you can just be totally unplugged and off devices. And yeah, just spend some time reflecting and seeing how God met David in the wilderness.
So good. It's available to you now. Download it, take it, make plans to just have some sweet time unplugged away with the Lord. And then just last thing, Sarah, we are going to be at a conference this month that thousands of people associated with global workers themselves, orgs tend to come to. And so we just want to put it out there that if you happen to be coming to ICOM in Atlanta, look for the Velvet Ashes booth. Sarah and I will be there. We will be there with books in case you want to pick one up there. We love nothing more than to pull up a chair and hear your story. And it would be our biggest delight if you would come by and say hello.
Yes, please do. We would love to see you and maybe get you some candy or some little treat.
Absolutely. And okay, this is always one of our favorite things is to just chat with you, but we do love to bring you an interview. And this month, the interview that we're getting ready to bring you is with Nathan and Tricia LaGrange of Oasis Rest International. What I love about chatting with them is what they are bringing to the global worker is a connection to a much needed resource. Sarah, tell a little bit about our conversation with them.
Yeah, they just speak so honestly about sort of this, the tension of needing rest, but as a cross cultural worker, like, is it okay to take a vacation, or what do we do when we don't have the finances, and what are the resources that are out there, and how do we even figure this out? And, maybe you are feeling like, oh, yeah, I'd love to get away, but actually, I'd really love to process some things. And so Nathan and Tricia do a fantastic job of just really sharing about this resource that is out there. And I feel like it fits so well with, we have just come out of the theme of refuge, and
Mm-hmm.
also, with the theme of the unplugged retreat, refuge in the wilderness. And so what does rest look like in the midst of
Yeah.
finding refuge and refreshment?
So you're just going to be so blessed. I hope you tune in and listen to this amazing resource, and I hope you take advantage of it. It is there for you. There are so many wonderful aspects of this. I can't wait for you to hear all the goodness that Nathan and Tricia have to share with us. Stay tuned for this interview with Nathan and Tricia.
Every voice part of the symphony. A Halloween polyphony. The messy middle mystery. The legacy of mercy, baby. Ooh.
Nathan and Tricia, I'm so thankful that you agreed to be on the podcast with us today. This topic of rest for global workers is something I've been wanting to bring to Velvet Ashes for a long time. So thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
Great to be here, Denise.
Okay, so first off, Nathan, would you just kind of tell us a little bit about Oasis Rest International?
Absolutely. And again, thanks for having us on. This should be fun. Oasis Rest was actually birthed out of lack of rest. How's that?
Mm-hmm.
Global worker decades ago, came home off the field, couldn't get out of the chair, was just broken, depleted, and realized, within himself and his wife, like, if we can't get out of the chair and we consider ourselves pretty healthy and strong, what about our other brothers and sisters out there on the field? So
Right.
that's where the idea was birthed about 20 plus years ago. And so right from there, when they collected the board around them, it was kind of just a little startup. They said, is this just for you? Like, is this a solo location, or is this something that needs to expand? And so they prayed into it. It expanded quickly, and it went from Oregon all the way over to Slovakia right away. So it was a global international thing, like out of the gate. And that's kind of the genesis of it. How do we care best for our global workers, our pastors, our leaders of Christian nonprofits? How can we offer them retreat, encouragement, safety, and transformation? These homes of hospitality that offer this high degree of high touch and this spiritual care. That's what we do all over the globe.
So, Tricia, tell me a little bit about how you and Nathan got involved.
Oh my. Well, we were served as pastors in the local church for about 20 years, and loved it, loved every minute of it, never felt like we were burned out, just so enjoyed our congregations and the people that we were allowed to work with. And what year was it? 2013. We actually, both of my parents passed away at the same time.
Oh my gosh, what a year.
And within 2 months of each other. And we went through some serious grief and we had just adopted the year before. I can't even remember all the things that were going on at that time, but we just needed rest. And so we were actually able to take sabbatical in Europe. We took our kids with us, and I always say it wasn't sabbatical, it was just relocating your chaos. But
Exactly.
it was fun. But, we realized that we were really a hot mess. And being in that location, we were in several different locations in Europe, and the Lord really blessed us during that time. But Nathan and I kept talking, and, being somewhere was great. But what we really needed was somebody to talk to. We just needed a face because we were going through the same thing. You know, our kids were going through grief. Nathan was going through grief. I'm going through grief. And it was almost like it was inbred, right? Like we just didn't have anybody to give us a different perspective. And we had not experienced that before. We had seen other pastors go through it and other missionaries go through it. But we ourselves had never really gone through anything too difficult. And we realized, you know, we were just plowing through all the time. We never thought we would burn out. And all of a sudden it came to a screeching halt. And here we are just wondering, how are we going to get through this by ourselves? And so we realized that's where God really began to birth that idea of needing rest with not just a location, but with a face.
And Oasis pairs those two together so nicely.
Yes.
And so then I imagine did you get connected with Oasis as it was already an established organization?
Nathan, I'll let you take that one.
Yeah. See, here's our pause. I'll wait for her. Yeah, I think it's always interesting the way the Lord works. I mean, we're red-blooded Americans. We're like, hey, you know, we come back from this experience and go, we could offer a space and we could be the face, right? Like this is, 2013, 2014. And so we kind of started on this trajectory with our church and saying, hey, about 5-6 years, we'd love to off-ramp with this. And we're like, well, let's just start our own thing. Let's start a 501c3. Let's go out. We know the guys and gals who can do that kind of stuff. And it was along that journey where we discovered what is now Oasis Rest. And we're like, well, this
It
is
already
silly.
existed. Yeah.
Why would we reinvent the wheel? We felt like we understood the leadership side of it, you know, how to care for leaders who were in, pastoral or missionary roles. But we didn't, the hospitality thing was like, well, why don't we just learn best practices? And, honestly, they've got an operational staff and all that kind of thing. So yeah, let's just join with these guys. Let's not reinvent, but let's join. And it's awesome. In God's grace, like this is the fun part, because we've been playing this game for a long time. We're like, what is this? Let's make sure we kick the tires. We literally contacted almost every host in the organization at that time. This would have been back in 2019. Every host, we contacted almost every board member that was a part of the organization at that time, going, what are the challenges? What's the good stuff? What do we expect? What are we getting into? Is this a cult? What are we doing? And you fast forward, and the goodness of God in almost knowing everything that was happening in the organization, but coming on as colleagues, everybody was pretty open and honest. And so, yeah, that plays in well now. It's like, well, we got a pretty good snapshot of the organization before we joined the organization. So
that's right. Okay, so you did your research. You called hosts. You talked to board members, so you understood what was going on. So did you serve as hosts before you ended up becoming the executive director?
We did actually. Actually, not before you became the executive director, but we had in some way or shape or fashion, we have always done it. Like we've always welcomed missionaries into our home. We've always been serving pastors. But it wasn't until Nathan became the executive director that we actually became hosts. Our board suggested that maybe we not host, but it had been such a dream in our heart for so long that we just decided to go ahead and do that. So we did that for about 1.5 years and loved every minute of it. Absolutely loved all the people that we got to serve, but it did become a little bit difficult with him working as the executive director full time.
The board was right.
They knew what they were doing.
We're like,
okay. We really did love it.
Yeah,
we really did love it.
I think the beauty for us, though, in that season is we got to experience what all of our staff experiences.
So important.
Not in its totality, but in an iteration. We're like, we'd look at each other 4 days in and be like, have you even showered this week?
Right.
True.
We've been, you're up early in the morning getting things ready. You're up late at night, that kind of deal. So that's been really helpful for me because I empathize with our hosts. And I think that was part of, the beginning stages for us to go, I get this. I understand it.
Mm-hmm. So There are people that are listening to this that maybe aren't even familiar with Oasis Rest and what all is offered. So walk us through. There is a global worker out there who is listening to this. They are burnt out, and you're saying words that are resonating with their heart, right? And so they hop onto your website. What are they going to find? And what would you invite them into to explore, to understand who you are and what Oasis Rest offers?
Yeah, I think we tried to do that right out of the gate on the landing page. It literally just says, tired, we can help. Like, we're like, why mince words? And the answer to that typically is yes, I am. So, how we can help is in various ways. I think for that global worker that's out on the field, depending on their location, sometimes they're forced to come home in some iterations.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they're still on the field. Hopefully, we can have or are growing a location that's near them. But they can jump on the website. They can find out what location looks good to them, and they'll see some of the qualifications of our hosts. All of our hosts are fantastic. Everyone is trained in biblical coaching. A vast majority of our hosts are trained in spiritual debrief. We've got folks that are even spiritual directors. I mean, there's just all kinds of wonderful qualifications you'll see on the website. And then just connect with that host. We want to cut out the middleman. We don't need somebody in the in between. So just connect with that host. You'll see a calendar on there for their specific location, and you'll get kind of a feel for who they are. Reach out to them. Say, hey, this is who I am. This is who I'm serving with. These are the dates that I'm looking at. We offer about a 3 to 7 day type of hosted stay. And so, once that ball starts rolling, it's in the hands of the host because they're the most qualified to deal with it. So that typically, is some back and forth that goes on. What do you need? And people will say what they need, and we're listening for what they're not saying as well. Because we understand, when you're tired, maybe it's the old Snickers, you're not you when you're hungry. Well, you're not you when you're tired. And we know that going in. And so we've got any kind of an intake form. It's short and sweet. We try to set up a Zoom call so that you can actually be with that host and be like, okay, this is who these people are. So you're not knocking on the door of a complete stranger.
And it's at no cost to the guest. As long
Which
as they
is
can get,
huge.
yes, as long as they can get to the location, everything is taken care of for them. And we say at no cost to the guests because it's paid for by someone. All of our guests raise their own funds. They're all missionaries. And so someone is paying for it, but it is no cost to the missionary or the pastor or the Christian leader that's coming to the location.
So can I ask along that line, if they have families, are there opportunities where families can stay as well? Or is it more like parents leave your kids somewhere else scenarios?
Yeah, I would say typically this is what we suggest is that it's you and your spouse that come. The space and the face are for you. They're for you to unpack. They're for you to unwind. For you to be refreshed and restored. That being said, there are some of our locations that we will take families. In particular, Slovakia. Slovakia takes MKs because that's kind of her focus and work is MK. She even runs an MK camp, things like that. There are a number of other locations here stateside that will take families. But for us, we're like, we want the husband and wife to get the rest they need for the life they lead, knowing that if they do, they're going to be better parents. And knowing if there are some challenges or really some intricate things that need to be unpacked, having 7-year-old Johnny running around on the floor may not be the best space for that. I think there are other ministries that we know of that offer just space, like servant care. I love servant care. Anna Morgan and her team over at Servant Care, love them to death. But they offer just space, and a lot of it's for families. But that's integration for us, that opportunity for you to reconnect with God or reconnect with your spouse or unpack a story or dream forward. Like we want that for you as the adult, man or woman that's on the field.
So what does it look like? I know we were sitting together at a conference recently. It's where I met you. It's such a great conversation about this. And you were mentioning that, these hosts are really intuitive to the need of the global worker that they're hosting. And sometimes they can tell right away that, they're ready to talk and they're ready to start. But sometimes they can gauge, you know what?
they just need a little bit of space. What could a global worker expect as far as, if I am signed up for this, do I get to have any downtime if I need it? Or is it I have to be ready from day one to be talking to somebody?
No, I mean, again, tired, we can help. Tired and hey, fit into our program and hey, do more work emotionally than you're really ready. Like, just not helpful. I think for
It
us,
really ebbs and flows.
yeah, there's an arc to things, and I call all of our staff around the world. They're ninjas. They know how to listen. They're just stealth, and they know how to hold presence, and they know how to look intuitively at that guest and say, we know what we're doing, and not in a cocky, arrogant way, but in a servant
Right.
way that says, we know you're coming into our home. We want to greet you. We want to let you settle down. You're in a safe place here. It's been prayed over. There's a really good chance that the host that you're with is a former missionary on the field or a former pastor in a local church. That they get it. And that's what I love about our guest surveys. We served about 2,000 leaders last year, and on every guest survey, it's like, these people get me. Yeah, because we are you. And so I think for us, if we sense, and this man or woman would just benefit from 2 or 3 days of just downtime, hey, we're going to make ourselves available. We like to say it's non-intrusive availability. We're not up in your face. That's not helpful. So we want to, and this is the beauty of Oasis Rest, we customize the retreat moment for you. What do you need? It's not our retreat. It's yours. So what do you need in this season? What's going to be helpful for you? If you're a married couple, if you're single, if possibly you're a family, what do you need? And how can we best come along and serve that in this moment? That's what we get to do.
Yeah, we really try to let the guests lead in a lot of ways. We're just watching and trying to be intuitive about where they are in the moment. Um, the first couple of days, just it takes that time to just kind of decompress, right? Before you're ready to just let it all hang out. But inevitably, I feel like our guests will just kind of maybe wander up, or into the room while you're getting breakfast ready, or, and just say, I was thinking about something. And then it just becomes this really beautiful conversation. And before they know it, they're just unloading and, just kind of letting out things that they've really needed to let out and talk about and process. And they're just doing it in a space that is safe and no pressure, right? Like there's no pressure. We're not forcing anything out of our guests. We're just kind of feeling where they are in the moment.
One thing that you said really made me think. So there is no connection to sending church, sending org, anything, no reporting that has to be done back of how well this
Oh no,
went.
we document every moment, Denise, and we keep the
Stop.
higher authorities so
Stop.
that no, and I think that's been it's been both a challenge and a delight as we have spoken with various denominations, with various mission sending organizations. Like, I get it. I get why you want to do what you do, but I also want to invite the freedom that we offer in saying, hey, if there's something legally, like there's a set of things, from a legality standpoint, but that is a very short list. And I think for us, we say we want to offer you the freedom to be an unbiased and deeply hospitable, but we're not a threat. And we like to tell denominations and mission sending local churches, we supplement and complement the good work you're already doing.
Mm-hmm.
And if we sense something that is over our heads, i.e., if it needs counseling, if it needs some clinical type of thing, we're mature enough to say, you know what, that's a little above us, and we can connect you with X, Y, and Z. But we will do that with the guest, not with the denomination of the sending work. That's not our gig. So yeah, I think that has, because honestly, sometimes the issue is with the sending org, or sometimes the issue is with the
Oh, for
denomination.
sure.
Right.
So,
For
A lot of
sure.
and the processing that needs to be done,
Right.
even if it's not at a spiritually abusive level, but sometimes you just need to process relationally. And I want to know better how to
be
Yep.
with this sending org or with this church, but I'm having some issues and it doesn't feel comfortable to process it with them. So absolutely.
There's so much more freedom in just saying, hey, what happens here stays here. And people, again, like Trish was saying, those first 24, 48 hours are actually really crucial because we want that guest to feel like they can come down a little. We have an acronym: REST, retreat, encouragement, safety, transformation. When's the last time you retreated away from responsibilities? And for somebody like Tricia and myself, it takes 2 to 3 days for us to really feel like we can retreat away from the norm. And so we want to give that guest the opportunity to do that. When's the last time you were encouraged by God's word for yourself? A lot of people are, trying to read God's word to preach a sermon or to, say something in a board meeting or whatever. It doesn't matter. But when's the last time you felt encouraged by another brother or sister in the body of Christ who didn't want something from you, who wasn't encouraging you in a manipulative way? Hey, baby, you look good tonight. That kind of a deal. Like that's not it. But when were they genuinely listening to the voice of the Holy Spirit and desiring to pour into you, knowing that you're going to go back out and pour this out? When's the last time you were in a safe place where you knew, hey, this isn't these folks' first rodeo. They've heard some things or they've experienced some things, and they're not going to look at you with some shocking judgment. But at the same time, we want to help people transform. We want to see transformation in people's lives. And for us, it's like, what can we help you do? That arc of, hey, we're going to do the sniff test for the first 48 hours here. Hey, we actually do feel comfortable with this couple. And now the real things are coming out and the tears are coming. It doesn't have to be tears, but the tears are typically coming. And now all of a sudden we've unburdened that moment and we have hope going forward. What do transformative steps look like going forward in our lives? Because we want you to walk out, are we going to change everything in 3 to 5 days? Well, maybe it could be the catalyst for the changes that are to come. But yeah, we want to give you some steps for transformation going forward.
And I just wanted to throw in there, our hosts, they are so amazing. They have seen and heard just about everything that you can imagine. So there's really not going to be a guest that surprises them or stuns them or freaks them out with what they say, because they've heard it all already. And they're just going to be able, hold your hand if you want. They're just there with you and pray with you and be kind with you, right? Like, so I for me personally, I always think, because I was a pastor's wife for 20 years, so I've always feel like I was pretty real, and I think people would say that. But there are times where you have to kind of put your hands up and go, okay, I'm not going to say that, I'm not going to do that, I'm not going to let that out. And so it takes a lot, for me to look at a person and go, okay, I'm going to let it all out in front of you. I'm going to tell you all the things that are in my brain. There's a lot of people that struggle with doing that. And so it's perfectly okay to do it in this setting, because our hosts have seen it all. They've heard it all. They've experienced it all. They may have done it. You're not going to surprise them, which
Yeah.
I love that.
Oh, that's
I
so
love
good.
that space.
It's such a good reminder because there's very few rooms. We were just sitting with a group this last week of 70 missionaries, and there are very few rooms that you walk in that you don't feel like, what do I need to give in this room? What is needed of me? And so to have that just from the beginning, there's nothing needed of you in this room at all.
Just receive.
Oh, that's good.
Like,
yeah.
be on the other end of receiving. You know how to give. Just receive. I would say this too, Denise, and I think it's important to note, you don't have to be in crisis to rest. Hey, now, can we just full stop right there? You don't have to be in crisis to rest. In fact, it might be a little bit better if you were proactive with your retreat, encouragement, safety, transformation, taking advantage of places like Oasis Rest, or things that you guys offer through Velvet Ashes, or whatever the case might be. Be on the proactive side, because there's a duh to this, because you may not find yourself in such a deep, place of spiritual or emotional exhaustion when you've got a little bit better rhythms. So I keep an old school metronome on my desk. It was actually my wife's mom. And it's a glorious reminder for me that I set the tempo. Like I have a lot more agency, and I think we have a lot more agency over our lives than we think we do. And so we get to set the tempo, and if it's just consistently to the wall, bang, 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 that's not helpful. Seasons of that, okay, but when am I going to slow this thing down, and when am I actually just going to turn it off for a bit
I love it.
before I'm forced to turn it off, before I have to crank it again because oh my gosh, I've run out of the mechanism is wearing out.
Right. So in that line of questioning, it leads me to, are there like, if you have stayed in one Oasis rest, you can't stay in another one for so many years? Or is it just if the host has space and you have the time?
Yeah. It's
Okay.
I think what's wonderful, we're getting to the place now where we have a lot of repeat guests, men and women that find space on their calendar. Maybe it's I would say for myself, the idea of coming solo is actually helpful. Even if you're married, the idea of coming solo is actually helpful. Yes, the husband, yes, the wife coming solo, and then doing something like that together as well. So, I mean, you're talking 2 times a year for each of you. You don't come in once by yourself, once, as a couple, and just making that, maybe it's every year, maybe it's every other year, whatever, but making that a part of your regular rhythm, I think is actually absolutely crucial to the kingdom work that we do, because most of these people in between there, they're not resting in any way, shape, or form. They're just going at it because that's what's expected.
Yeah, and in our rest
So
model I'm sorry, and with the transformation in our rest model, we want you to be able to walk away with some tools and ideas and resources that you're learning that rhythm for yourself of rest, where your life begins to ebb and flow, right? Where this isn't a one-hit wonder. We don't want you to just come in and be like, okay, I'm rested for the next 2 years. This is something we want to give you ways that you can continue this on. It's not like church camp, right? Like you're fired up for the
yeah,
next
you're
two
on this
months and
high
then
and then, right.
you're on this high. Yeah. So we want you to be able to learn to continue to rest and find ways to rest your soul on your own.
Mhm. Okay, so I'm going to play the practical. I'm on the field and I'm the woman that ends up, if this is going to happen, I'm pulling the trigger on it. I'm the one that's going to have to plan it because my husband doesn't stop long enough to think about something like this.
Mm.
And I don't know if that's the case for, surely I'm not the only one who that was the case for. But so the logistics of like, okay, get on your website. There's a map. I can choose an area if I know I'm going to be in the States or I'm going to be in Europe or, but then, logistics, I'm thinking about like food. Do I need to come prepared and lug my food with me? You're going to help me with grocery store info? What does that look like just logistically?
You need to get to the location
Yeah.
with a suitcase.
Typically for most of our locations, just get there. Seriously.
Hmm. And
You'll
then we take
do
care of everything else.
you'll do a little bit of intake on the front end of things, right? There may be an intake form, that particular host likes to utilize. What foods do you like? What allergies do you have? All that kind of stuff. We're not just asking that because we're interested. We're asking that because we're going to serve you, and so you're filling that out. Again, you're having that Zoom conversation maybe a few weeks before your visit, and I am of the mindset of saying, I don't think most of us know how to receive that level of care. It's actually, it messes with your equilibrium. You're so used to going and so used to pouring out that it's like, I don't know how to pour in. We were at one of our Oasis locations way back when, before we had even joined on, and it was actually a substitute host there, which tells you we do have substitute hosts and we train them as well. We know how to help. But that substitute host, wonderful couple, and Tricia and I get there. It's just north of Rome in Italy, and it's a beautiful setting. And the lady takes one look at me, and she goes, "You're not allowed to do anything here." And I can remember
Burn it
where I was
off.
standing in the kitchen. Yeah, and
Hmm.
I'm like, ha, ha. I just laughed at her because she was kind of intimidating. She was a very sweet lady, but just her presence. And I kind of laughed, and she goes, "I'm being serious. I know your type." And I was
She
like,
had you pegged.
"Oh
Hmm.
man!" And again, it was so beautiful for me because she's right. She does
Hmm.
know my type, and my type is the kind that's like, I need to show you through serving that I'm valuable and this is my worth and blah, 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 blah. And we come to our places and you flip the coin and it's like, no. Trish and I will have people at our house and they're done eating and they just intuitively pick up their plate. And you're like,
No.
put that down. And you have to get aggressive with people sometimes. For heaven's sakes, put that down. You don't need to do that. I was going to say this though, which is fun. I think one of the things that's been great, our hosts are so continually developing in how they serve that for some folks, engaging in something is actually really restful.
Yeah.
We have guys on our staff. I'm thinking of one in just outside of Lynchburg, Virginia. He's built a wood shop. He's not a woodmaker guy, but he built a wood shop because he has so many pastors that have come through that love to do something with their hands. And so he was like, well, why don't I just turn this shed into, it's not a she shed, it's a he shed. And it's a workshop. We have other guests that, some of the ladies like to cook. And so they don't have to prepare the meal, but if they want to come in and sous chef right alongside, sure, knock yourself out. If this is restful for you, we want you to engage in it.
I am so, so grateful for this conversation because I feel like this is the constant stress of being on the field is that you need this and you don't have the funds or the time to even research and think. And the fact that you have collected the needs and met them in one location. Tell everybody the website that they can go to.
Sure. Oasisrest.org. Very simple. We try to make it short and sweet. Again, you will see right on the front page that question of tired, we can help. You'll see a button that says discover your oasis. All you got to do is click on. Take that map, zoom in, zoom out. I invite you to really look at the hosts and start to make some contacts with them. If you're out there on the field, again, this is not like, hey, we're just reaching out. No. Be like, hey, we already know that this is what you do. Can you help us? Yes, of course we can. And you can maybe find out, wow, there's a host that might fit our family or our circumstance or our season a little bit better than another. That's not to say that hosts are better than others, but some have more experience on the missions field. Others have more experience in the local church. Just go check it out and see who resonates with your heart, because we want you to get the rest you need for the life you lead. This is what we do.
Wow. I am so, so excited about our community getting to listen to this and get to know more about this amazing resource that is out there. And I hope that you find that there are so many of the women that are just blessed and connect with your hosts. And if you're listening to this and you're like, I think I would like to be a host, on the website, there's opportunity for that. There are, how do you become a host? There's ways to connect. And so I'm sure you guys are always open to looking for other hosts all over the world.
Always.
Absolutely. I was just getting ready to say that, especially, most of our hosts, most of them have been pastors or have been on the field at some point in time. And I think it's such a great resource, right? To have people that really, truly understand what you're going through.
Yeah. If God is moving on your heart in any way, shape, or form, I would say this too. We have married staff and we have multiple single staff locations because we find that to be very effective. There are a number of single female missionaries that are out there. Well, how do we serve you best? Sometimes by a former single female missionary. And so for us, we're like married, divorced, looking at being single and serving in this capacity. We've got people we can connect you with. And typically every person that comes, kicking the tires of Oasis Rest, we send them out to talk to all of our hosts, just like Tricia and I did when we started on board. Go talk to the people who are doing this day in and day out. Find out what's a real life snapshot look like, because a lot of our hosts, all of our hosts, this is their full-time gig. They are hosting men and women in their home 30 to 40 sometimes weeks out of the year. And that's a 24 hours on, that is focused attention, that's high hospitality and spiritual care. So this is not something that you're doing like just on the side or for kicks and giggles. This is because the demand is so high right now that we are forced to expand. So if you want to be a part of that glorious forced expansion, because finally we've demystified and are destigmatizing the need for rest, come and join us. Call me, contact me. There's an inquiry form there that goes to our administrator and eventually gets kicked to me. So yeah, I would love to talk with you, because I know for Trish and I, this started out as a dream on our hearts, and then we found other like-minded people who were sharing that same dream.
I love it. Hey,
Yeah.
we will put links and resources in our show notes for those of you that would love to connect in a deeper way. Nathan and Tricia, thank you so much. We're so grateful, and
Thank you.
we just love that we can continue to equip women who are serving cross-culturally. They are our favorite. And again, we just want to also thank Barnabas International for sponsoring this podcast. We are so grateful to get to do ministry together with them. Thanks, guys. We will see you next month on the Velvet Ashes Legacy Podcast.
Every voice part of the symphony.